July 2019, sailors aboard the USS Omaha watched a spherical object hover over the Pacific Ocean off of the coast of San Diego, move parallel to the water's surface, then disappear into it. No splash, no debris, no wreckage. They radioed 3 guided missile destroyers immediately. A submarine was deployed to search the area. It found nothing. The Pentagon later confirmed the footage was authentic. The object remains unidentified, and almost nobody talked about it because everyone was busy talking about UAPs in the sky, but this one went into the water. That is what makes the USO problem different. Significantly more unsettling. USO stands for Unidentified Submerged Object. It is exactly what it sounds like, the underwater equivalent of a UAP. Objects observed beneath the surface or transitioning between air and water, exhibiting behavior that no known human technology can replicate. The term has been in use since at least the 1960s. The encounters go back much further, and they have never received a fraction of the public attention that aerial UAP have. That asymmetry is worth thinking about. Because the ocean is not a safer place to hide something, it is a harder place to track it. Let's start with what the military record actually shows. In 1963, the U.S. Navy was conducting training exercises off the coast of Puerto Rico. During those exercises, a submarine broke formation to pursue an underwater contact moving at speeds exceeding 150 knots. That is nearly 4 times faster than any known submarine technology of the era, or of today. The crew tracked the object on sonar for 4 days. 27,000 feet, deeper than any known human-made vessel can operate. It was never identified. The case exists in military records. It has never been explained. A operator named Aaron Amick has described what submariners call fast movers, anomalous contacts that appear on sonar moving so rapidly that, in his words, you can't measure the speed. These are not rare occurrences. They are categorized, reported, and then filed away. During the 1970s and 1980s, the Soviet Navy documented its own wave of underwater encounters, strange acoustic signatures that didn't match any known vessel, appearing repeatedly in the same geographic corridors. The Soviets took these seriously enough to launch dedicated investigation programs. Those files have not been fully released. Now here's what makes the USS Omaha case so significant. The object wasn't just underwater, it transitioned. It was in the air, then it was in the water, seamlessly, without the physics that should accompany that transition. No cavitation, no impact disruption, no detectable deacceleration. Retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, former oceanographer of the U.S. Navy and former acting head of NOAA, has described its capability as nothing short of world-changing. In a 29-page report published in 2024, he wrote that the fact that unidentified objects with unexplainable characteristics are entering U.S. water space, and the Department of Defense is not raising a giant red flag, is a sign that the government is not sharing all it knows. This is not a fringe researcher. This is a retired 2-star admiral and former senior official at National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So here's the question. What do we actually know about what's in the ocean? The honest answer is, not much. Humans have mapped approximately 25% of the ocean floor with any meaningful resolution. The deep ocean, below 200 meters, remains one of the least understood environments on the planet. We have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. The technology to monitor it comprehensively does not exist. The Navy's Sound Surveillance System, SOSUS, was designed to track Soviet submarines, not to catalog anomalous objects. And even SOSUS, one of the most sensitive acoustic networks ever built, has logged contacts it cannot explain. The USS Omaha was not an isolated incident. In the same summer of 2019, multiple Navy vessels operating off of the California coast reported encounters with unidentified objects over several nights. The USS Russell, the USS Kidd, the USS Rafael Peralta, the USS John Finn, all reported contacts. The encounters were sufficiently widespread and documented that they formed part of the evidence base that drove the 2021 Director of National Intelligence UAP Assessment and the subsequent establishment of AARO in 2022. What is notable about all of this is the word that keeps appearing in the official documentation: transmedium. It appeared in an internal Navy UAP task force report that was later described to journalists. It appeared in congressional testimony. AARO has used it in published materials. Transmedium means the object operates in multiple domains: air, water, and potentially space, without any observable mechanism for the transition between them. It is not a word you use unless you have documented something that crosses those boundaries. It is the government's own language for what the USS Omaha crew watched disappear into the Pacific. The National Defense Authorization Act of 2023 formally expanded the UAP investigation mandate to include transmedium and submerged objects. Congress, in other words, wrote the USO problem into law. That is significant. Legislative mandates don't come from nothing. They come from briefings. And the briefings, by multiple congressional accounts, contain more than what has been made public. So what are the explanations on the table? Adversarial technology is one. China and Russia have both invested heavily in underwater drone programs. It is not impossible that some of what the Navy is tracking represents classified foreign intelligence technology operating in U.S. waters. That would itself be an extraordinary national security failure, and one the government would have strong incentive not to publicize. But the 1963 Puerto Rico encounter predates any known drone technology by decades. 150 knots underwater, sustained for 4 days, to depths of 27,000 feet, are not in the capability envelope of any adversary's known or suspected program. Not then, not now. Natural phenomena account for some sonar anomalies. Biologics, geological activity, thermal layers that distort acoustic readings. Scientists are right to point this out. But thermal layers do not hover above the water and then enter it without a splash. Biologics do not appear on FLIR as solid spherical objects. The data keeps pointing in a direction that none of the mundane explanations can fully cover. Retired Rear Admiral Gallaudet has called for a dedicated interagency effort to study transmedium UAP specifically, one that combines Navy, NOAA, and academic oceanographic resources. That has not happened. AARO's mandate exists. The funding and infrastructure for serious subsurface investigation does not. The ocean covers 71% of this planet. We have barely looked at it. And the people whose job it is to look, the ones with the sonar arrays, the submarines, the classified acoustic networks, kept logging contacts they cannot identify at speeds that should not be possible, transitioning between domains that no known technology can bridge. Something is moving down there. We have the footage, we have the sonar logs, we have the radar data, we have the testimony of decorated naval officers and retired admirals. What we don't have is an answer, and nobody in charge seems to be in a hurry to find one.